When ancient myth and cutting-edge science intertwine, the fate of all humankind teeters on the edge of annihilation. Step into a gripping odyssey as a team of elite scientists and astronauts are dispatched on a high-stakes mission to investigate an unprecedented asteroid storm threatening Earth. As they experiment with the frontiers of teleportation technology, they unknowingly awaken a malevolent force long buried in cosmic silence, an ancient terror that once ruled legend. Their survival becomes a desperate question. Will they escape its wrath or become the latest in a long line of forgotten victims? The story opens with a haunting memory. June and Alice, two young sisters, sitting on a windswept cliff beside their father, a brilliant yet mysterious scientist. He tells them tales of ancient times, when massive stones fell from the sky, bringing with them creatures of unimaginable power. According to legend, it was Thunderbird, a celestial guardian, who defeated these beings. Yet one of the stones remains, dormant, but not forever. As a final gift, he hands them a Thunderbird talisman, a symbol of protection for what's to come. The scene transitions to a sleek car racing down a remote highway, dust rising in its wake. Corey, Alice, and Mark step out, joined by Susan, as they arrive at a secluded research facility. Their mission: to establish a secure connection with the Pax space station, currently orbiting Earth. This marks the beginning of Project Thunderbird's first official teleportation trial. They plan to initiate the experiment with a small inorganic object, gradually progressing to larger, eventually biological specimens. But precision is critical. Every calculation must align perfectly with Pax's orbital trajectory to ensure successful transmission. Inside the facility, tension builds as the team synchronizes their instruments. On the main screen, Team Thunderbird initiates contact with the crew aboard Pax: Elizabeth, John, Kyle, Stuart, and Rose, each at their respective stations, awaiting final coordinates. Back on Earth, June appears via secure video link from the control room, overseeing system integrity. As the gate powers up, all containment levels are sealed, the receiver is armed, and the teleportation projectors lock into position, ready to engage the unknown. On Earth, Alice carefully places the miniature Thunderbird necklace onto the transmitter platform, aligning it precisely with the orbital path of the Pax station. Mark double-checks the calibration, then instructs Alice to step back before activating the system. As the energy builds, a piercing alarm suddenly echoes through the Pax station. Levels have reached critical thresholds. June, monitoring from the control room, urgently advises aborting the experiment, but her warnings go unheard. In a flash of blinding light, the necklace vanishes from the Earth platform and reappears inside the space station's receiver, sparking a moment of chaos as systems briefly overload before stabilizing. Relief washes over both teams as the teleportation is declared a success. Later that night, Stuart and Elizabeth initiate a visual call with Mark to celebrate the achievement, while Alice quietly sits beside Corey, reflecting on what they've just unlocked and what may now be watching. After some time, Alice makes her way to the lab, while Corey, still outside, peers through the telescope and notices a strange flurry of shooting stars. But these aren't just stars. They're the leading edge of an asteroid storm rapidly approaching both Earth and the Pax station. Alarms blare aboard the station as a massive impact tears through part of the outer hull, sending the interior into disarray. Chaos erupts as systems fail and crew members scramble for safety. Back on Earth, Corey alerts Mark, who looks through the telescope and is stunned to see the asteroid storm hurtling toward them. The sky darkens as the asteroids strike, triggering waves of destruction. The team scrambles for cover, narrowly escaping harm. Meanwhile, in the station, June manages to restore gravity and steps out of the control room, only to be hit by a violent air surge that swings a heavy gate open, knocking her off balance. She catches a nearby rod just in time, then locks the gate shut with a wall button and pulls herself upright. The next morning on Earth, the team surveys the aftermath of the asteroid storm. Much of their equipment lies in ruins, charred and scattered across the site. Despite the devastation, Alice finds a working radiophone, grabs it, and heads toward the lab with Corey to assess what remains functional. Mark and Susan remain behind to document the damage and attempt initial repairs. Up in orbit aboard the Pax space station, John suits up with an oxygen mask and cautiously begins inspecting the damaged sectors. As he moves through dim, sparking corridors, he collects fragments of strange rocks lodged into the station structure, likely remnants from the impact. Meanwhile, June sits in the medbay with Dr. Singh. Though she has no broken bones, her vitals show clear signs of stress and internal strain. The doctor urges her to rest and step back, but June refuses. Her teleportation sequence isn't finished. Dr. Singh reluctantly agrees, handing her a small, carefully sealed delivery. The Thunderbird necklace Alice teleported the very one their father once gave them for protection. As June holds the necklace, John enters, nursing a wounded hand. He hands her the rock samples, explaining they struck the station exactly 1 minute after the teleportation event. Realizing the connection, June hurries to deliver the samples to Dr. Stewart for urgent analysis, while Dr. Singh insists John stay behind for treatment. A short while later, John is seen lying on a stretcher in the station's infirmary. Suddenly, his body begins to convulse, and the wound on his hand glows an eerie, pulsating red. He sits up abruptly, and to everyone's horror, his face begins to glow the same way. Unnatural, vivid, and terrifying. His eyes blaze red, empty yet focused, as if something ancient now peers through him. What's happening to John? Was it the rock samples, or has something been awakened inside him? The truth remains unclear for now. Meanwhile on Earth, Corey and Alice pull into a desolate gas station, running low on fuel. While Alice grabs water bottles inside, Corey wanders and finds a strange, faded painting on the wall. Beneath it, a worn book sits, one that strangely appears to belong to Alice's father. As they talk outside, Alice brings up her father, triggering a haunting memory. In the flashback, young Alice and June sit on the cliffside with their dad, the same scene that opened the film. Their mother tries to take them away, but Alice realizes she forgot the Thunderbird necklace. June volunteers to go back for it. Their father, though brilliant, was tormented, calling himself a failed scientist, husband, and father. From that moment on, June buried herself in her astronaut training, slowly drifting away, even from Alice. Aboard the Pax station, Dr. Stewart and Elizabeth closely examined the asteroid fragments and confirmed they're pieces of S-type asteroids. Dense and metallic, but unlike anything cataloged before. At the same time, Dr. Singh urgently gathers the crew to reveal a disturbing discovery. John has vanished, and clinging to the station's outer window is a massive spider-like rock creature, its core pulsing with a red glow. Dr. Singh believes John's transformation began the moment he touched the space rock. Now, they must warn Earth not to come into contact with the fragments, but their communication link is completely severed. Back on Earth, Susan and Mark are inspecting damaged equipment when a broken shard of glass suddenly falls out. Moments later, Mark grows unsteady, his body reacting in a way he can't explain. Susan, worried, tries to call Alice, but her attempts fail. Alice left her radio phone back at the mart. Realizing this, Alice quickly returns and retrieves the device, unaware of the urgency that awaits on the other end. On the Pax station, the team collects a sample from the glowing spider-like rock stuck to the hull. Dr. Stewart and Elizabeth scan it and detect something shocking, a faint but steady heartbeat. John is somehow alive inside. It's not just rock, it's something organic, something alive. Meanwhile, on Earth, Alice tells Corey a legend from her father about the Phoenix, a powerful being said to have appeared 12,000 years ago during a similar cosmic storm. As they talk, Alice notices strange spiral formations on the ground. She tries to contact Mark and Susan, but the radio signal is dead. Sensing something is very wrong, she and Corey jump into the car and drive off. Back in space, Dr. Singh continues studying the rock when he sees a flicker of movement inside. He leans closer. Suddenly, a glowing red hand bursts through the surface and pulls him in. June loses power in the control room and radios a warning. Rose exits to check the issue and is attacked by a terrifying alien creature. June finds Singh's shattered lab, his body nearby. She alerts HQ, which detects 2 human and 1 unknown life form near her. Elizabeth checks the cameras. Rose is dead. On Earth, Mark weakens quickly. He confesses to Susan that he touched a fragment. It's inside him. He gives her a data chip. "Take this to Alice," he says. "It's all we've got." Susan takes it and runs, leaving Mark behind, unsure if he'll survive what's coming. Inside Pax, June returns to the control room and brings Elizabeth with her. Together, they collect the bodies of Rose and Dr. Singh, preparing to release them into space. But just as they begin, they notice one of the bodies twitching. Something is still moving. Fearing infection or worse, June decides not to take any risks. Without hesitation, she releases both bodies from the station. On Earth, Susan wanders alone, trying in vain to contact Alice and Corey. The radio remains silent. After some time, she arrives at an old stable. Inside, she finds a horse, saddles up, and begins her journey through the desolate landscape, gripping the data chip tightly. Back on Pax, June and Kyle arm themselves and leave the control room to hunt the creature. Elizabeth watches the cameras, guiding them through the corridors. Just as they close in, the creature appears behind Kyle. He fires a burst of flames, but in the next second, it lunges and kills him. The creature moves swiftly towards Sector 1, where June is hiding. As it approaches, June steps out and fires a blast of flames directly at it, setting the creature ablaze. But just as suddenly, it vanishes into the shadows. June tries to retreat, but the gates refuse to open. Elizabeth contacts her and requests permission to initiate a system reboot. June agrees, but first she needs an oxygen mask for safety. She hurries to the storage area, puts the mask on, and gives the go-ahead. As the reboot begins, all systems temporarily shut down, including lights and air circulation. In the dim emergency glow, the rock creature silently creeps closer, drawn by the faint light from June's oxygen mask. Sensing the danger, June closes her eyes, holds her breath, and remains perfectly still. The creature hovers near her, then slowly backs away, fooled into thinking she's dead. The moment the system reboots and the lights return, June bolts from her position, but the creature spots her and gives chase. Just as it gains on her, the control room gate opens. June dives inside, slamming the door behind her as the creature shrieks in rage outside. On Earth, Alice and Corey race toward the Zoo gate, hoping to escape, but Alice fails to unlock it remotely. Suddenly, loud rumbles shake the ground as distant mountains erupt violently. From the smoke and debris, a massive creature begins to rise. Stunned, they leap into their car and speed away, the beast looming behind them. Will they survive this monstrous force? Time will tell. Meanwhile, aboard Pax, June and Elizabeth cautiously exit the control room to inspect nearby sections of the station. As they round a corner, they spot the creature, but it's lying motionless on the floor. Tension turns to confusion. For now, it appears to be unconscious. Back on Earth, Corey and Alice arrive at an abandoned lab filled with old astronaut photos and equipment. Corey powers up the systems, and to their horror, they discover rock shells scattered around the lab. As Alice sits at a terminal, Corey suddenly grabs her and covers her mouth. One of the shells is cracking open. They quickly hide beneath a nearby table as a creature begins to emerge from the stone husk, its body unfolding with terrifying precision. On Pax, June looks at Earth through the station's monitor and spots the giant rock creature now rampaging across the surface. At the same time, Susan witnesses the same beast from the ground, horrified by its sheer size. In the lab, Alice and Corey track the creature on a nearby screen. It's heading straight for Phoenix. Back on Pax, the crew analyzes the alien entity and initiates contact with Alice, urgently discussing the possibility of teleporting the monster into space to stop its destruction. Susan also reaches out to Alice, confirming what she saw with her own eyes. With no time to lose, they prepare for a high-risk operation, teleport the creature from Earth to Pax. Alice and Corey leave the lab, making their way through a ruined landscape where rock shells litter the path. They stop at a secure location and connect a monitor to the transmission device. To activate the system, they must align 3 corners of a triangular interface and trigger it at the exact same time. Pax initiates the countdown remotely. Will they complete this impossible mission or fall victim to the very monster they're trying to contain? The answer lies ahead. Alice gives Corey a final set of instructions, her voice calm but urgent, then hurries to meet Susan, who hands her the vital data chip containing the teleportation algorithm. Without hesitation, Alice installs the chip into the main equipment system as she and Susan head toward the designated launch site in a Jeep. Along the way, tension builds. They drive through the desolate terrain until suddenly, up ahead, they spot it. The monstrous rock creature, rising like a living mountain, blocking their path. The sheer size and presence of it is overwhelming, its form radiating a sense of ancient power. For a brief moment, both women are frozen, staring in awe and horror. It's a moment that tests the very core of their courage. Back at his position, Corey holds steady, ready to activate his part of the teleportation sequence. The plan is simple but precise. 3 triangular points, activated simultaneously, will create the wave field strong enough to transfer the giant creature to Pax's receiver. With Pax initiating the synchronized countdown, the 3 of them, Alice, Corey, and the Pax team, brace themselves. At 0, they hit their triggers in perfect unison. A hum of energy builds as the triangular network activates, glowing with pulses of light that twist through the air like controlled lightning. The monster roars as it is lifted into the field, its body disintegrating into streams of glowing particles pulled into the sky. The teleportation has begun. As the last phase of the process unfolds, a smaller rock creature leaps toward Corey from behind. Without panic, he grabs a nearby rod and swings with full force, smashing the creature before it can strike. The main creature vanishes into the beam and is transferred entirely to Pax. Cheers erupt across every location. On Pax, in the control room, and on Earth, relief floods in. The monster has been contained. Humanity is safe, for now. The team's bravery and unity have turned the tide. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling content.